You were saying all this.
Hello and welcome to,
Hey, we like your pod.
and we're going to tell you why. Hi, it's Dawn here in the flesh.
It's
with my
Dawn
trusted-
here.
It's Dawn.
Listeners, it's been weeks since Dawn has been here. This is amazing.
I forgot I was going to put the cat up. I totally forgot. By the way, thanks for getting me kicked off Twitter, like put in Twitter jail while I was recovering from my surgery.
I didn't do anything. It's not my fault. You're the one who got yourself in jail. Okay. Take responsibility, Dawn.
They won't let me post any cat gifs now, practically, or they're like holding them for review or something. It's just weird.
That's so weird.
And joined by our special guest this week, B. Brandon.
Woo.
Hello, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, of course.
Nice to see you. How was your week? What's new? Tell us about your week.
Man, what did I do this week? Not much. Went on some walks. But other than that, not much.
Ooh,
Nice. Good time for that. What's the weather like? You're up in the Upper Peninsula, somewhere
Yeah.
like that? Yeah.
It's been nice the past couple days, but today it was 37, I think, out. So
Fahrenheit?
Wow.
What?
Fahrenheit.
yeah,
This
this
is
is the
June.
normal temp.
Upper
Where are you?
Peninsula.
Where do you live, Big B? Are you in the UP?
Yes, Marquette.
Oh. Marquette. Okay. Wow. That's funny. I mean, it's not funny probably for you, but I think it's odd. Hi, little munchkin. I see a little munchkin hiding behind Matt. How was your week, munchkin?
You have a kid behind me who's supposed to be in bed right now. Hey, go to bed.
Go away.
Kids are having a great week though, because they're doing this really cool summer camp where they get pool time and they do field trips. It's crazy. And seriously, I'm gonna mute for a second so I can encourage them to get down to bed. Okay.
Okay. The complications of doing a live podcast. No, we're good. So Maddie, for those who are listening on Saturday or later, Maddie's little girl was joining us. I was waving at her. She was probably, I should have been encouraging her.
The dog was encouraging her, exactly.
Payback
But
for all the
things are
cat
good here in
jokes.
Cincinnati. It's been a good week here. It's been a good several weeks with the wonderful guests who stepped in to help try their hardest to fill your shoes, Don. Major thanks to Katie Sunderman and Dusty was in for a week, and then last week Tori Piot, who's a phenomenal guest. I want to say just a quick shout out to all of them. But things are good here in Cincinnati. It's just the grind of getting through the new student orientation. Big B, are you starting college next year or the year after that, or what's the story with that?
So I got 1 year of high school left, and I don't know if I'm going to go to college or not. So
yeah, not trying to push you in that direction. It's not for review, of course. So I wasn't sure if you were the same age as Joey or not. 'Cause of course, he's been posting about going to school, but
yeah.
Suffice to say, if you do go to college, if you do go that way around this time a year from now, you'll be doing summer orientation for that, and that is something that I am in the thick of with my advisees. So very, very busy time. Also had a really cool thing happen over the weekend, but I'll talk about that later in the show.
Yeah, sounds good.
So Dawn, how are you? How's your week?
My week's kind of been the same for the last 3 weeks. Good, really good. I can't complain. I had surgery. I didn't announce it ahead of time, but now that I'm 3 weeks out of it and I lived, it wasn't in some ways as bad as I thought it could be, but in some, you just always have little surprises. I don't feel great, feel a little woozy, but with this particular surgery, the special thing about it is that you go for post-operative procedures that involve sometimes a little bit of snipping and not fun. And I had that on Tuesday. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it today, but pretty brutal. Hey Emma. I said Katie almost. Hey Emma. It's me, not Tosh. So, anywho, yeah, so it's been good. It's been really good and restful. And I'm just practicing patience.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing for all of us to do all the time, anyhow.
I have some superlatives that will reflect some of the things I did while I was recovering that sort of are related to football, but not really directly. So, hey, Big B, are you still watching the what do they call the league in the summer that's going on right now? The football,
The USFL?
USFL. Have you been paying attention at all?
Absolutely not. I don't think I've
No?
watched a single game of that.
Oh, I thought you said you were watching. Maybe it was somebody else. Okay. Mistaken identity. Yeah, I watched a little bit of that, out of desperation.
It's football, kind of.
It's football. And some of the players were in the NFL, like Jay Sternberger.
Mm-hmm.
And, so it's kind of cool that way. But it's a very different experience, obviously. And there's nothing like the NFL. People used to say that to me when I didn't know anything about football.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm like, yeah, there's nothing like the NFL.
Well, quick side question for you about that, Dawn, for both of you. Of course, with the XFL, with the USFL, there's been like teams in cities that don't have NFL teams, which is kind of exciting for those cities.
Yeah.
If there is one city that doesn't have any kind of football team now that you wish could have one, that isn't like where you live, so like not Marquette, not San Diego, not Carlsbad. What city would you want it to be?
Well, I think for the USFL, I'm going first. Is that okay, Big
Sure.
B?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just blabbering away.
Take the wall.
It would be kind of fun for Anaheim, California, because they have Disneyland, and it's kind of got a fun, cheery. The USFL has kind of got a cheery, kind of half college, kind of half showy vibe to it. So, and then also because I don't know if you've seen any of the names of the teams, but they're kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
And so they could be like the Anaheim Goofies.
I was thinking the Mickeys, but the other way.
Or Mickeys, yeah. Or yep. That would work. Like I was watching a game. It was like what was it? I forgot the name. I forgot what town it was, what city it was, but they were called the Showboats.
The Showboats.
Showboats. And then, like really weird names that you wouldn't think were a football team.
That's hilarious. Big B, you got one?
Well, I'm just gonna go for the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I think St. Louis should have an NFL team.
Yes.
Because Joey lives in St. Louis, so I know all about that. He blabbers about it 24/7 when we get on that conversation. So I'm gonna say St. Louis.
Oh yeah, for the Joey. That sounds good. I didn't realize that was an option too. Well, I can't say San Diego because San Diego lost the Chargers to LA because San Diego doesn't support football very much.
I think you could say it. I mean, I'm just saying it doesn't have a team right now. So why not?
Yeah. Nah, I'm okay. I'm okay supporting the Chargers in LA. That's fine. It's good. I'm like,
for me, I'd go for Dayton, Ohio, of course, which I choose that because, Cincinnati, of course, has a team. Obviously, Columbus has a really big college program. And Cleveland has the Browns, right? So like the next kind of biggest city in the state is Dayton. It's an hour away from here. If there were some kind of team there as a draw, that'd be cool because it's kind of a boring city otherwise. So give them something to draw some people in. That'd be pretty cool. I'd be all for that.
I feel like the NFL should have, what do they call those teams?
Like
we talked
farm teams, kind of like AA, AAA, whatever.
Yeah, like
minor leagues.
Yeah, like in their own state. So like Green Bay could have, Milwaukee could have, or Madison. Probably not Madison because they've got the school and all that, but maybe Madison. But each NFL team, and they could have it be the USFL, and it would just be like Green Bay Light or whatever.
Green Bay Light.
Or you wouldn't call it that, but you know what I'm saying. They have better names than Showboat. Like there has to be a way to fix that name problem. I was obsessing over that. It's like, why are they calling them these things? So anywho. All right.
Yeah, that was a tangent. Let's get on to talking.
Tangent.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear in the comments or in the audience if you're listening or watching or replaying or listening on Saturday or next week, what you think about those options for a farm team, minor league, or if you could have a team in another city.
Mm-hmm.
Where would that be? So Big B is here. He's our special guest. And we're going to talk about his Twitter as we do. So Big B's Twitter reads Big B at Big Packers 4X. I was mentioned on the NFL Network, and Aaron Rodgers said I'm a good kid on the Pat McAfee show. I'm a Jamal Williams super fan, and obviously, as we all know, and if you don't, you hopefully will by the end of this show, co-host of the Underage Packers podcast and YouTube channel, right? You guys record on YouTube too? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, Big B, our first question for you is, can you tell us about how you were mentioned and what was said on the NFL Network about you?
Yeah, well, during the season, after the Cowboys game, I broke some pretty big news, about a certain quarterback and his certain injury, and got picked up by Ian Rappaport. So he mentioned, or he gave me credit on NFL Network, and that was one of the coolest things I have ever seen in my life, being mentioned on NFL Network. I don't think I can ever top that, in my opinion.
You might. That's very cool.
Yes.
That's very cool.
It's ridiculously cool. Yeah, we talked about it in the show when it happened. In fact, how we were all just like freaking out that we were seeing you being quote tweeted by Ian Rappaport. Dude, that was amazing.
Now, how did you find out before he? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I interrupt you?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, we have a long life, a long life ahead of you for sure, Big B. There's all kinds of things you can do to top that. I believe in you. You will top that.
We do.
Maybe. You never know. We'll see.
And if you don't, that's pretty great.
Over.
It's pretty great. So
take over.
Oh, there it is.
She didn't kill me, everyone. Although she tried.
Donna's still standing.
How did you find out about that before Ian Rappaport?
Well, I just came out and asked Aaron when we were walking to the little huddle thing, Bob, after their practice, and that was I think the first thing I asked him was how was his thumb, and he just came out and told me. So,
So for people who don't already know, who you are, Big B, for any of our listeners out there who are like, wait, what is he talking about? He asked Aaron Rodgers on the way to the huddle. I feel like it needs more of the backstory for those who don't actually know. So if you don't mind getting into that, it's such a fantastic story.
Yeah, that's my next question anyways. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, oh boy, when was it? 2020, after the 49ers game, I got diagnosed with cancer. And I was actually eligible to get a Make-A-Wish. So my Make-A-Wish was get a tour of Lambeau Field and also meet Aaron Rodgers. So that's how that happened.
So that was your actual wish. I wasn't sure what the wish was. I remembered the Make-A-Wish, but I wasn't sure how specific you were. So you actually put in there that you wanted to meet him.
Yes.
That's wonderful. And he obliged.
Mm-hmm.
I love the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I really love that organization, what they do. And how are you doing with your cancer situation?
Oh, I'm good. I had my last chemo appointment, I think in March, I believe. So we're doing good.
I remember that announcement. That's so great, Big B. And you've handled that with such courage and grace.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I mean, kind of had to. I mean, my only way was to get better. So I really had no choice. So, yeah. I mean, not much you can do other than what I did.
Just deal with it, right?
Yeah.
Right. But some people would whine about it all the time and stuff. So you didn't do that, which would be okay,
Yeah.
It's okay. Okay, so Make-A-Wish, and that happened. When did that happen? Was that this
November.
Last season, right? November. Okay.
Yeah, Cowboys game.
And then you got the free and clear in March, so like 4 months later. What a great couple of months you had there.
I know.
That's fantastic. So it was at the time you were chit-chatting with your bud, Aaron Rodgers, who said you were a good kid.
Yep.
And you got the scoop. Wow. Well, what do you think about having a career like Ian Rappaport or in journalism Is that something you're interested in?
I mean, I really don't want to go to college for that, and I really don't want to go to any more schooling than I have to. So that's probably out of the question. But I would love to do it. But the main obstacle is college, and I just really don't want to do that. Like I said.
Yeah,
totally.
too bad you can't just jet into that out of pure cuteness or talent or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you never know.
Cuteness can carry you pretty
You
far.
never know. Yeah.
So, I mean, if you had no barriers and no limitations, like what would you? I hate to say, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because it's such like an old person to say to like a teenager. But like, what would you want to do with your life if there were no barriers?
Probably play in the NFL if we're going that route. I mean,
Play.
Yeah. I mean, football's my life. Football's the only thing that really makes me happy. So I would say be an NFL player or be a coach. Probably a coach. Coaching would probably be over being an NFL player.
Coaching
That's awesome.
that'd be really interesting for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. What position would you play? Did you get to play in high school or anything like that?
I played like a kind of like a Pop Warner type, and I was right guard and D tackle, and I really enjoyed playing offensive tackle, so I'd probably say tackle.
Yeah, because you're a big guy, right?
Yeah,
That's the name big.
Well, which takes me to something I was wondering there. The 4x the 4x in your Twitter handle. What's the story behind that?
Yeah.
Packers Super Bowls.
Oh!
I should have
That's
gotten
right.
that. I did not know that. All right.
I thought it was your shirt size or something because you're big B.
It's like a huge dude.
I don't know how big that is, but I just assumed because it's big B and then 4X. What do I know?
If we're 4XL, then that would be it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I think in women it's just X, isn't it? I don't know.
I don't wear a lot of women's clothes, not during the week at least. So.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go back. So how did you become a Packers fan? Obviously you live in Wisconsin, right? And who had the most influence on your fandom, if anyone?
Oh boy. Well, my whole family is Packer fans, so I really didn't have a choice at the end of the day. But I would say probably my grandpa had the most influence on me because he always brought me to Green Bay when I was younger, and plus he has season tickets, so I get to go to at least 3 games a year.
Nice.
So I would definitely say my grandpa has the most influence on me.
Very nice. Very nice. And is your grandpa still with us?
Yes.
Nice. That's fantastic. It's so great that you can have a relationship with your grandfather.
Yes, and he's my dad figure in my life. So.
Aw,
that's awesome.
That's cool.
So, like, what's your earliest memory of, like, watching a football game with your grandpa? Do you have sort of a sense of that, or?
That's a good question. I have to think about this one. I think it was the Packers Giants playoff game in 2016. Because before that, I mean, I really wasn't that into football. So I would say that was probably the first game we watched together.
Okay.
So 7 years ago. And what was the outcome of that game?
Packers won, of course.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh, nice. I don't remember.
It was that, and then the next week was against the Cardinals. Is that right?
Oh.
Cowboys,
then Cardinals,
then Falcons.
Man, okay, which year was it? Oh, right. Okay.
That was the run the table year.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that Cowboys game though. Oof, that was a good one. That's one of my favorite games.
I love that. So, okay, so how did you become a Packers expert in such a short amount of time? Because that's only like 7 years ago.
Yeah. Well, first off, I wouldn't consider myself an expert. First off.
Okay.
Well, ever since I was younger, anything I was into, I had to know every single little detail about my hobby. Like I was big into professional wrestling, WWE. Like I knew every single wrestler, like in the past, present, and the future NXT. If you watch wrestling, so I mean, that's pretty much what I am. Is like I want to know every little thing about what I'm interested in. So I've been like that since I was little.
Cool. That's an interesting characteristic to have.
Yeah.
What
I'd
say
say,
you, Matt?
what's that?
What say you,
Oh,
Matt?
what say you? Well, I say, I was gonna ask, Big B, do you have like a strong opinion about where Zach Tom should be on the line?
Oh boy. I'd say right tackle. He's been getting a.
I think, am I frozen? You guys frozen? Okay, there we go. Yeah, right tackle, we get a lot of play there. The fact that you have an answer for that, like ready to go, tells me no, you're an expert on the Packers, definitely. You
Yeah, that's been the big controversy. What's going to happen? What is going to happen on that line? As long as you don't say left tackle, I'm happy.
they'd be like, okay, Big B doesn't know ball.
Well, I mean, I'm sure if he said it, there would be a reason for it.
That's a good
Like
point. It'd be
some kind of news that I
yeah,
missed. Yeah.
provocative hot take, actually. That'd be-
Right.
okay, all right, good point.
Right. So how do you feel about Jordan Love and the locker room vibe this year?
Well, anybody that knows me and been following me since 2020 when we got Jordan Love in the draft knows I absolutely love Jordan Love. I've been a massive fan. I've been rooting for him ever since because all the haters were so annoying that I kind of had no choice but to root for him.
That's right.
So I absolutely love Jordan Love, and I love the locker room vibe. It seems like everybody's loose, everyone's getting along. There's like no tension at all.
Yeah.
And it's just so refreshing to have that in our locker room, that big change. I just love it.
It's a great
Hanging
word.
out in Door County at the beach, running against Simone Biles, man, vibes are immaculate.
Refreshing is a great descriptor, like a nice cold glass of lemonade in summer.
Yes.
Oh, it's so drama free for now, anyway, at least, hopefully forever. It's been great. So, you were in the locker room last season, right? Did you get to go in the locker room, hang out?
When Wes Hodquist took me on his tour after the Make-A-Wish tour, I went into the locker room.
Oh, okay. Wes is the man. Oh, that's so sweet.
He is the man.
Yes. And that's the Wes's desk that you're sitting on in this profile picture, right? That I placed on our thumbnail. I love that.
From Unscripted.
I love that. All right. So, what do you think about that locker room vibe, Maddie?
Oh, I'm so excited. I mean,
So
Jair Alexander coming like from behind, with like some weird wrestler mask or whatever, and giving Jordan Love a hard time on his interview like that. That's so hilarious. Cute. I'm here for it. I'm loving it.
Yeah, and Love is just so relaxed. You can tell it wasn't kind of like, what are you doing here or anything. And you could just tell the it's really smooth. It's really nice, really nice. All right. And so having said that, have you seen Jordan Love play yet? Have you gone to any games or practices where you've seen Jordan Love?
Well, I haven't been to any games that he's played in, but I've, of course, been to training camp last year and the year prior, so I got to watch him throw the football around, and he has a beautiful spiral. Even in 2021, he had a beautiful spiral. So I'm excited to go to training camp this year and see how much he's progressed his throwing motion and his spiral. I can only imagine it got a lot better.
I love that. I love that. And I love that you're going to training camp. Does your grandfather go to training camp too?
He used to, but now he just doesn't really want to go, I guess.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Been there, done that. Maybe.
Yep.
Or something. Okay, so you've gotten to see, and so you haven't seen any of the preseason games.
No, I haven't been to any of those.
Yeah. So, do you have a favorite moment back to your time, your Make-A-Wish wish come true? If you had to pick a favorite moment or thing that happened there, what is it?
Man, probably me and Aaron walking to the huddle thing, because that was the only moment where we had like one-on-one time, and of course I'll cherish that forever. Like that's just so cool to me. Like it puts a smile on my face every time I think about it.
Yeah.
And it's just something not everybody gets to do, is walk with QB1, have some one-on-one time, and just talk about things. And during that conversation, he after I asked about his thumb, he went right to asking me like, how are you doing? How are your numbers? How's everything? And he's a really good dude. I really enjoy talking with him.
Yeah, he knew about you and he showed interest in you personally. That's
Yes,
nice.
exactly.
That's really nice. I remember when you were posting. I mean, I'm getting like freaked out right now. When you were posting those pictures on Twitter, we were all like in our prospective homes screaming our heads off, just like, oh my God. It was so, I'm going to cry right now. I mean, it was just too much. It was really cool that you brought us all along with you.
Of course.
Yeah.
We were all living vicariously through you that entire weekend there, man.
So
It was amazing.
happy for you.
I know.
So happy for you. You earned that one, man, for sure. So tell us, because you're a high school student, you're part of the Underage Packers podcast. So how do you manage your time and get all you do done, including the podcast for the Packers community online?
Well, since 2020, I've been online with school. So really, I've had the most time possible a human can have.
Right.
I've been free ever since 2020, pretty much, outside of like doctor's appointments. So I really have no time to manage at the end of the day.
Oh, that's really a luxury. That's fantastic. So, and tell us a little bit about your support system. I mean, I know your mom's been your hero for the last few years. We've seen some posts about that, and you have your grandpa, but do you want to tell us anything more about your support system?
Yeah, like you said, my mom, she's been step by step with me in this entire process. She's the one that called the doctor every single week, telling them that I'm just not getting better. She's the one that pretty much saved my life at the end of the day.
Right.
So, of course, I absolutely love her. She's just the best mom anybody can ask for. Of course, my grandparents were also there through the entire thing. And, of course, everybody on Twitter, I mean, they pretty much helped me keep a positive attitude through the entire thing. They were the true friends during this entire thing, and I could just say anything. I could spew. I can rant about whatever I wanted to that was annoying me during the entire process. So Packers Twitter really came in clutch during this entire journey.
Yeah, what a journey it's been. No one should have to go through it, let alone somebody in high school. Man, big B. So are you still online school because of your health, or is that what's still going on in your school district?
Well, no, but last year I was in person for the beginning of the year, but in December I got super sick. Like I got legit everything. I got the flu, I got COVID, I got the other virus that was floating around. I got a few other things. Like I was like pretty much dead for the month of December and January, where I just had to switch back to online. But this upcoming year, I'm going to have to go in person because I got accepted to the welding class at our college. So I'm doing a trade program. So I kind of have to go in person.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, that's not something you can do virtually.
Yeah, you can't weld online.
Yeah. That'd be nice, but
You could,
kind of
but
hard.
it probably wouldn't turn out really well.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, little computer parts or something. All right. Well, that's fantastic. Yeah. I remember some of your rants, and man, those were well-deserved rants. I'm glad you ranted though, because I tend to like hold everything out in and deal with things, and then I'll tell people when I'm on the other side of it, and it's kind of painful. It's like kind of awful to do it that way. I wish I could be more of a ranter when things are actually happening. I have to think everything through before I say anything, and so that's good.
See, that's not my struggle with. I just go ahead and just say it, and like after I tweet it and like look back at it like 10 minutes later, I'm like, what the hell? Why the hell did I tweet this for?
Yeah, well, I've had some of those too. So you love your Packer Twitter, but our final question is always about our beloved NFL and Packer Twitter community. So if there's one thing you love the most and one thing you would change if you had the power to.
Oh boy. One thing I love about Packers Twitter is it's pretty much a second family. Like everybody is just so awesome on there, and it's just like a big support system for legit everybody involved. And the one thing I would change about Packers Twitter is pretty much the same thing. Like I wish everybody could be like a little bit nicer to everybody. Like I wish like all the haters would like stop being so mean like everybody. Something that really annoys me about it.
Yeah.
But of course that's the internet. You can't really do much about that. But that's just something I would change.
Yeah, sure. If you had the power to change anything, that's that'd be a good thing to change. It's like that in life too. There's just some people out there that have to be mean.
Yep.
And make trouble, and actually I wish I would have learned that as somebody like in high school. I was so kind of sheltered. I thought everybody was nice. I didn't realize, man, it's a cruel world out there. So it's not a bad thing to know. And so maybe that's a good thing about the internet, that a lot of people like to complain about the internet, but maybe that's something that's not a bad thing. Reality check.
Yeah.
Maybe. All right, Big B. Well, hey, we know you are going to take off before we start our superlatives, unless you've changed your mind. Is there anything you would like to tell our audience about yourself? We're going to be talking about your Underage Packers podcast and where to find it and all that jazz for you, so you don't have to do that. But and by the way, hi to Joey out there. And by the way, also, Joey and Big B will be joining me shortly when Matt's on vacation. And so we're going to repeat our last year's podcast where we review the top 10 we did? The top 10 content creators in Packers Twitter.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. So we're going to review that, see if there are any changes, any upgrades, anyone who made the 10 list, anyone who gets the boot.
Ooh. That was such a good episode last year that you guys did. I can't wait to hear this year's version of it, this year's edition.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm already like thinking Tom Grassi's got to be number one this year.
Oh my God, he's destroying it. Yeah,
He's out there, man, doing it all. It's so fun. I think he might have been number one last year too, wasn't he, Big B? I can't remember.
I think Andy Herman was 1, and I think Grassi was 2.
Oh, Andy, look out!
Coming for you.
I don't think he'll mind. It was actually Andy Herman's website, which nobody looks at, which has probably not been updated in like 100 years, where I got the idea.
Yeah.
Because,
Right. Yep.
because he had posted that he was listed, which I thought, of course, was appropriate, but some people were like, what? And I saw the comments there, and I was like, hey, that's a good idea. Let's do it, because that's what this show is all about. We review content to save you time, because most people aren't like us and spend all this amount of time listening to podcasts all week, so we can tell you what our top ones are for the week. So anyway, any final thoughts, Big B, before we say goodbye? We sure want to thank you again for being here.
Enjoyed it. Thank you for having me. But I don't think I have anything else. Jamal Williams is the GOAT. There we go.
The GOAT.
Jamal, if you're out there watching, hi, we miss you. Come back.
Yeah, since he's out there watching. Yes.
Yeah, we love him. He's so fun. And you got to meet him too, didn't you?
Yeah, way back in the day, and then I got to interview him on Game On Wisconsin just a few years ago.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
look at all you've done since becoming a Packer fan in 7 years.
It's crazy.
Pretty impressive.
I never would have thought I would be at this point, ever, just a few years ago. So it's just wild.
Yeah, it is. It is great. Well, I'm so glad you're here with us. I'm so glad to know you, and we appreciate you joining us. Any final thoughts before Big B leaves, Maddie?
I just want to say thanks for being here, man. It's good to finally have a chance to talk to you a little bit, since I missed the one last year, obviously. And I admire everything you do. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Okay, Big B. Oh, and Too Deep, who's one of my true crime followers. Nice to see you, Too Deep. I'm here. I'm here. Can you believe it? Big B, good health. God bless. So sweet. Thank you. Thank you, Too Deep. We love you. All right.
All right. Well, Don and I are going to hang in here and do some superlatives. Big B, thanks again, man. And
Yeah, no problem.
talk
You
to you
have a
later,
great
I guess.
night, Big.
You guys too.
All right.
Thanks.
All right, Don. So for superlatives, how many do you have this week?
Well, I have 3 from last week and a new one. It's just kind of lengthy. I have
Ooh.
like a blurb to read. So.
Okay, so you basically have 4. Do you want to alternate, or are yours like a kind of a package deal?
Okay, so let me do my first theme,
Mhm.
and then you can do your 3, and then I'll do my last. How's that sound?
Perfect. Absolutely.
Okay. So let me find them.
The struggle every week.
I always forget.
Where in the show doc are
Okay.
they?
So this one is still. My cat is just staring at me. This one is still valid, even though it was more the first 2 weeks of my recovery. It's called Weirdest Intersections: Tennis, True Crime, and the NFL. So during my first 2 weeks of recovery, thank goodness the French Open was rolling in Paris. And so I got to just sit and watch as much tennis as I possibly could, which is rare because usually I can only catch, I'm not going to just sit there and watch like I do with football for whatever reason. And it was glorious. It was so fun in many cases. So, but while watching the French Open, it seemed like the NFL just kept coming up, and the NBA and all kinds of other sports, which I guess makes kind of sense because parents and relatives and brothers and sisters and that kind of thing. So I am going to mention Jessica Pegula. She is in the top 10 world tennis rankings for women. She made it to the quarterfinals in the French Open and the semifinals, I think maybe even the finals for the doubles in the French Open this year. She has a career high of World Tennis Association rankings in the singles of world number 3 at one point. She's not 3 right now, but she's up there. She got that in 2022, of October of 2022, and in doubles number 2, which she got in May of 2023, and her doubles partner is Coco Gauff, who's delightful. But what does this have to do with football? Her father is Terry Pegula, multi-billionaire owners of the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, okay.
I thought that was interesting. And he was there. Her father was there watching her the whole time. So that was
cool. I like that.
All right. Sloane Stevens, highest ranking was number 3 in 2018. Her current ranking is number 30. Women's tennis, of course. Sloane's father was John Stevens, and he's Pro Bowl running back for the New England Patriots. Football Hall of Famer Raymond Berry regarded him as the best athlete he had ever seen.
Wow.
Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. He died in a car accident. So Sloane lost her father, which is really sad. And true crime. Florida versus Travis Rudolph. Did you hear anything about that?
No, it's so not plugged into this stuff, but I love when you talk about it because it's so crazy.
Travis Rudolph played college football at FSU, where he broke the record for most receiving yards by a Seminole in full history. He was picked up by the UFA as an UFA by the New York Giants after skipping his senior year to enter the draft. So he wasn't drafted. So he got picked up as an undrafted free agent by the Giants. Then he signed over to the Miami Dolphins. It didn't go real far with Giants. On the practice squad in 2018. And then he suffered a really serious injury, torn ACL, his first day of practice. Can you imagine putting all those years? Oh my gosh. And then having something like that happen. So he was placed on the practice squad injured list, and then he never returned to the NFL. But he was the cousin of former NFL wide receiver and return specialist Devin Hester.
Ooh.
Small world. He signed with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers of the Canadian Football League in January of 2020, but he was released in April of 2021. Why? Florida. Because he was arrested and charged with 1 count of first-degree murder and 3 counts of attempted first-degree murder. His trial was live streamed the last few weeks. And of course, he should have never been charged. And thankfully, the jury found him not guilty. It was a big deal. I'm surprised you didn't hear about it.
No.
Oh,
So he didn't murder someone. That's good. That's good.
It was self-defense. So it was self-defense. So he did kill someone.
But didn't murder. Didn't manslaughter. Didn't whatever.
And it was really an awful situation. I mean, it was kind of a soap opera with a girlfriend, and she had her brother go over there to shoot up the place, which of course she texted, and that was brought up in the trial. She wasn't charged with inciting someone to murder, right?
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't charged with conspiracy. None of the guys who went over there, and it's all on camera, were charged with anything. They decided to charge him and make an example of him, which sometimes happen, which is why I'm really glad that the jury, pays attention, gets it right. Very thankful for people who do serve on juries and put the, effort into it, because it seems like they do pretty well. Sometimes they don't get it right, but a lot of times it's because of the way evidence is presented, so they get it right given the context. But yeah, so there are people who are that's a pet peeve of mine. And I'm interested in the work that the Innocence Project does, and all these people who are charged and really sent to prison for decades and like let out on the street with nothing to their name. But okay, well, you didn't do it. DNA has a lot to do with that too. But yeah, the whole Travis Rudolph thing was really compelling if you were paying attention to it. And I didn't watch the whole trial, but I did watch enough of it to, I was more busy with tennis.
Tennis and trials.
Yeah. So those are my weirdest intersections: tennis, true crime, and the NFL.
That's completely weird. I know, like how even?
I know.
It seems improbable.
Enjoying tennis, and it's like, oh, NFL. Oh, owner of the Bills. Oh, it's and then that's her father's in the NBA. Playing for, or used to play for, the Heat, or things like that. So it's just interesting if you pay attention to learn more about. I just like learning more about some of these athletes. And yeah, by the way, Flemlo Raps did a piece on the Travis Rudolph situation. I did not see it yet. So, but he did post a little post on YouTube while he was doing it, that he was breaking down, crying so many times that it was having a hard time getting it done.
We should get him on the show sometime, huh?
That would be fantastic.
That'd be awesome.
He's the
Dude's
best.
amazing. He's amazing.
He's so good. Such a great storyteller. Such a big heart,
Yeah, such a good person.
So that's my thematic 3, and then I have one more little one for you.
All right.
Well, for you all. Yeah.
I loved that. And a thing that you made me think about there, Dawn, is how so many really great athletes come from athletic gene pools, basically. Right. So when you see somebody who's an amazing athlete, and it's like, then you see who their parents are, it's like, okay, all right. Mm-hmm. I myself do not come from that kind of gene pool. So I appreciate it when I see it.
Yeah. Although the it's interesting. I had read, I didn't bring it up because I don't like, to further things like this, but since we're talking about it, so the Jessica Pegula, who is one of the top 10 women's tennis players right now, her father was the owner of the Bills, right? But tennis is an extremely expensive kind of elite sport to get into. It's very hard. And so she got a lot of criticism that she kind of bought her way. You can't buy your way into, you still have to play the matches, right? Yeah. But she's very beloved now. But it was interesting to see a couple of players that came from more modest means
Mhm.
to and there was one player who I can't pronounce his name, it's escaping me right now, but I think he went as far as the quarterfinals, and it was his father. They immigrated here from I can't remember what country, but it was from the African continent, if I remember correctly. His father, they lived in the upper northeast. I can't remember what state it was, but his father ended up managing like a tennis court as his job. I think he started out like in maintenance and that kind of thing. So this kid even remembered his bed and his brother's bed were massage tables at the tennis club. That they had to live in there. But he learned how to play tennis, and he's really good. He didn't make it to the even the semifinals, but we're going to hear about him in the future. But he's one that broke through, but he was so exposed, and he had the court right there and everything. But tennis is not that easy to break into.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine how expensive it is to come up through that. Just getting instructors, the one-on-one time, paying for like the court rental time or whatever. Like, yeah, I could see that. A lot of the people who hold those things, like country clubs and like exclusive sort of spaces like that. Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm. The finals, the women's finals was great. The men's finals, we have again the winner of Rafael Nadal, who I like a lot. He's from Spain. He had to bow out because of another injury. He's ready to retire.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Novak Djokovic, who we thought was going to end up playing in the finals. Another Spanish player, young, I think he just turned 20, Alcaraz. And Alcaraz ended up playing, I can't remember what it was, his final, but he got cramps. It was horrible. It was just so sad. And so it's his semifinal. So he didn't make it to the finals. And he was actually expected to beat Djokovic. And I call Djokovic the Aaron Rodgers of tennis. He really is. He really is. There's one in every crowd. So, so the finals, I really wasn't super interested in because it was Djokovic, and not Alcaraz, but he played a 25-year-old player from Norway, and whose name is, where's my brain? His name is Ruud, Casper Ruud. And I was really rooting for him. He was just so fun to watch. And I watched his quarterfinals, get to the quarterfinals, semifinals, and then the final. And he was really, really sharp. And Djokovic was making a lot of mistakes, a lot of errors, but like self-inflicted mistakes. But Ruud for the finals just really, I don't know what, if he wasn't well or what, if it was hot. It wasn't that hot, but I don't know what happened, but he just couldn't pull it together. So that was kind of sad that he had to lose like that.
Yeah, that's a bummer. You want to be able to go out on your own, like, merits and not on some random.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was almost like that's watching Alcaraz. Yeah, Alcaraz faced. Wait a minute. How did Alcaraz? Anyway, it was almost like watching Alcaraz play with cramps. Like he could have conceded. It was really sad. It was really sad because of the rules. You can't get an IV. You can't get treatment for cramps. You can get treatment for anything else. But so he had to just sit there while his trainer came out and tried to massage him and stuff and get salt pills and stuff. And every second, like every 15 seconds or 18 seconds, something like that, he'd lose another game. So you just saw all these losses. Like he could have just conceded.
Yeah.
But he went out there and played it out, but he could hardly move. It was really sad. And I actually blame Djokovic for it because he plays a lot of games. So in the first set, the second set, I think he was getting beat. And he's like, oh, my wrist hurts. My wrist. He plays games like this all the time. Oh, my wrist. So he could go off. He could go into the locker rooms, get an IV. He could do whatever he wanted. And Alcaraz is young, and he was just kind of like pacing around. And he should have sat. He should have probably gone back, changed his clothes, done something, cooled down, because that day was really hot. And it was just really sad because he froze up and then he cramped up. So Djokovic came back and beat him. And it was like, that was to me so distasteful. I just hated that match.
Mm-hmm. I can
Sorry.
see why.
Going
Yeah.
on and on about tennis. Sorry,
Hey,
guys.
we like your tennis. So
Hey, we love your tennis. Okay. Okay. Tell us what you have for us this week, Andy.
yeah. So my first one, the superlative is just the actual best. This of course goes to Tom Grossi. So I want to talk about this for a second. I met him this last weekend. So for those who don't know who this dude is, he is he's like a video creator, primarily makes funny videos about football, mostly the Packers because he's a Packers fan. And this month he's going to each of the 30 NFL stadiums, one stadium a day, which is an insane sort of like travel itinerary, and the endurance you need to do this is just it's because he's doing videos, of course, about each of the cities, each of the days, and so you can see like what he's putting himself through. I should say him, and also his video guy who he's traveling with, Johnny Barks, who is phenomenal. So seeing what the two of those guys are putting themselves through for each of the videos is like, it's amazing. And the thing is, like, why are they doing it? It's to raise money for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. And this is something that like Tom Grossi decided to do without even contacting St. Jude's in the first place. Just like, I'm going to go raise a bunch of money, going to donate it to them. They won't even know what's happening. It's just going to be like this active chaotic good, as he calls it.
Right.
And so the videos he's been doing have been phenomenal. Just both funny and like really, really full of heart, and talking about like how amazing the cities and the different fan bases are, because every city he goes to, like, there's like Packers fans who show up to like the meetups that he does, but there's people from like every fan base at each of the cities. Like he goes to Cleveland, there's people in Browns jerseys, like every single city it's like that. And so so far they've like already like shot right past their initial goal for fundraising for the charity here, and so there's like setting higher goals and trying to get like higher and higher for the charity, which is amazing. So the fact that he's going out there to spread good vibes, to meet up with fans of both Packers and other teams, fans of the work he does, and doing it all for like a really good cause, is just, I don't know, I got no words for that, Don. I just admire the hell out of it. So this last Sunday was his day in Cincinnati, and I thought, I could just like stop over at the meetup outside of Bengals Stadium, because he like usually meets the fans outside of the stadium, and then often does like another meetup somewhere else in the community. So I was like, okay, well, we had this graduation party we had to go to, one of my wife's cousins, so I thought we can just like stop there on the way. I can like kind of go up, like say, hey Tom, what's up, man? Good to meet you. And we rolled up, and there's like 150 people. I was like, oh. He's like talking to everybody. He's like signing stuff. It's like I would have to stand around for like an hour to like just get a chance to like shake his hand. And I was like, I want to do that, but my wife is in the car like waiting.
Your wife is like, who's this guy?
Well, I explained the whole thing, of course, and she was very impressed by it. But she was not excited about the idea of waiting for an hour when we were already running behind as it was. Right. So I was like, okay, well, I'll get a picture of him from afar and kind of get a little quick video of the crowd, just to like document how huge the crowd was. I was very surprised and very impressed. But then later in the day, they did post that they're going to be doing another meetup at a local brewery, Mad Tree Brewing, a really, really great place. So I was like, oh, I'm there, I'm going. So it was at 9:00, which is perfect because the kids were just about down. So I was like, all right, saying to my wife, like, if you can take care of this, I'm going to go out and like talk to this dude. And so I rolled up at Mad Tree about 45 minutes into the thing, and it was such a beautiful picture to come into, like, because it was like a circle of like 15 to 20 people, and there's Tom Grossi kind of holding court, and everyone's just like listening with rapt attention, because he's a really good storyteller, a lot of charisma, really draws people to him. So I walk up into the circle, and he's kind of like winding down one of his stories, and he looks and goes, "Matt, I'm so glad you could make it." And I almost freaked out. Like, he knew my name, Don. And the thing is, like, he we've talked about him on that podcast before, and he knows that we say good things about him, but the fact is, like, he knows who we are, which kind of surprised me. And then, we were chatting and like having a really good time, stuff like that. And so eventually it was time to, wind things down. And he's like, okay, anybody want like pictures before you go? So I was like, yeah, of course. So I go up there, and like, as we're getting kind of the phone side, he's like, all right, so in July, hit me up. I'll make sure to come on your podcast so we can talk more about this stuff. And I was like, Tom Grossi just like offered to come on our podcast. I was going to ask him, of course, but like, the fact that I didn't even have to ask him, and like this whole time he's being like generous with his time with everybody, just giving of himself, beyond what could be expected of a person, and doing that like day in and day out, no breaks, no days off, going straight through, like
So nice. It's really cool. I've been telling everybody here locally about it. I mean, not even people who watch football. I'm like, just it's because it's very special.
Mm-hmm.
What he does is really great anyway, but this 30 and 30 hashtag 30 in 30 is really so special and fun, and it's everything Tom could you would expect from Tom if you've been following him a little bit.
Absolutely.
I love that he knew your name. That's so sweet.
I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it.
I'm not surprised at all.
Just dude's the actual literal best. So
He's so
yeah.
sweet.
I would say to that end.
Now you've said this on the podcast, we're going to have to hold Tom. We're going to have to hold you to this.
He said he wants to do it. He was really excited about the prospect. So
yeah.
So this is to say then, just to help to do whatever we can to amplify his message. Anybody out there who's listening or watching, if you haven't already given as a part of this fundraiser, just take a minute, even if it's $2, just do something to contribute. As Tom keeps saying, it's for the kids. I did a contribution after talking to him, so I was like, you know what, I should have done this earlier. This guy is out here doing this stuff, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's not too late. They're taking donations through the entire month, trying to hit certain goals. So get it in there, and for that matter. I would recommend checking out the videos from each day. Just go back, check
and
day one.
Them.
I sent the one about Cincinnati, which was phenomenal, to my father-in-law, because we were talking about it the day of at that graduation party, and it's dude, you got to see what Tom Grassi said about the city, how much he was impressed by just the spirit of the people, and how embraced and loved he felt by everybody who was here, and he just said so many great things about the city that I've really come to love, my adopted home of Cincinnati. So check out the videos, people. If you can give even anything to the charity, jump on in there with that. It's amazing. It's amazing stuff.
It's really great. Another thing he's doing, and you mentioned it kind of, he's making sure to support a local business when they go to a restaurant afterwards or breweries or whatever, to make sure that, they're not hitting up the chains or whatever. They're supporting a treasured local business. So it sounds like he picked a really great one in Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to him coming in LA. To LA at the end of the month. I think it's the 27th, so that's in 12 days. But I have one more post-op procedure, and if it's anything like the one Tuesday, I don't think I'll be able to get on a train the next day. But I'm hoping it's not as brutal, and that I'll be able to breathe and go up there and see the man. And
it'd be worth postponing the post-op. That's what I think.
That's interesting.
I can
help you do that the day. Hey, there's a thought. Well, I'd have to do it a week later because she does her post-ops on Tuesday, but that could happen.
Yeah.
She said, "Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Never even occurred to me." Jamie, my glam kid, Packers glam kid is Jamie Cheesebut on Twitter, who's taking a little break on Twitter. She's planning to join me there. At Stadium in Inglewood. Yeah.
Okay,
I've been planning it, and then I was like, "Oh, I've got an appointment."
No, you're going. You're going. You're going. You're taking pictures. You'll probably make it in the video.
I would definitely video. Yeah, and I'm practicing my gritty because I'm going to just do the gritty the whole way into the.
Awesome.
And it's I needed to learn how to do this, man. If Jefferson can do it, I can do it.
That's basically how that works, right? Anything Justin Jefferson can do, I'm sure any of us could do, right?
So I can do anything he did. And Aaron is here. Aaron, Alice, hello. It's nice to see you.
Aaron, good to have you here. Thanks for joining us. Hey, I'm wondering if you want to throw this in the chat, Aaron. Did you get a chance to see Tom when he passed through your city of Indianapolis? I wonder if you get a chance to see him there.
Oh yeah, that was a couple of days ago.
Yeah, it was Monday or Tuesday. I can't remember which one now. And he was on Pat McAfee on that day because that's where the McAfee studio is. And that was crazy.
I actually watched that live. Yep. I don't normally watch.
Exactly. I tuned in for that. It was it was a time that I was free during my work day. I was like, let me see what's happening with here. And that was crazy.
That's really sweet.
Yeah, I was gonna say something else. I forgot what it was, but suffice to say, Tom Grassi, he's that guy. Super nice guy in real life. He's for real deal.
I'm so glad you got to meet him. When you texted me the other night, I was like, what? Aaron was in the middle of Illinois. Somewhere in
That is too
Illinois.
bad. That's too bad. Oh well. Real good guy. All right. Well, let's go to my next one then. All right. So my next one was best rant. And there's actually a couple of good rants this week, so it actually
Right.
holds as the best rant of the week.
Mhm.
So Ryan Schlip, known as Pack Daddy on the Twitter, is the guy who does the Packernet podcast, which is like a solo podcast he does like literally every day. He has a little network he's built of like other podcasters who contribute throughout the week as well. In fact, we talked about Clayton last week, who is I listed as an underappreciated podcaster out there. But anyhow, Ryan Schlip, when he gets going on a rant, he's it's impressive. He's very skilled at ranting, because a lot of people, when they start ranting, it becomes incoherent. It just sounds like angry, and it's just not making any sense. It's just like spewing vile, right?
Yeah.
Spewing bile. So when Ryan gets going, he gets sharper and more incisive, and like
I want that skill. I need to practice.
It's a great skill. Yeah, seriously. And so there was this like really, really ridiculous Colin Cowherd segment on one of his shows, I think last weekend. And like, okay, we're not gonna like think or pretend for a moment that Colin Cowherd is like the voice of reason, who we should be looking to for good takes. Like, you know, of course, obviously. So I don't want to say he's like an easy target, but the fact of the matter is that Colin Cowherd, basically what he did is he said, based on something like 5 different like headlines he had seen, not even articles he read, headlines he had seen, he didn't think that he had a lot of optimism for Jordan Love's prospects. And it was the most ridiculous claim to make, first of all, but Ryan just like dissected it and cut into it. And it was a masterclass in you know, rhetoric and good takes, basically. A side note here, of course, Aaron has this ongoing sort of I would say love-hate relationship with Ryan that they kind of play out on Twitter a lot. I mean, of course, it's all in love for real, but it's funny because she put here Twitter in the chat, "Boo, Pack Daddy, boo," but then meant to mention sarcastically, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, no. So that was a hilarious one, because I mean, like, because when he's going there, it's just good. It's good content. It's because he's funny and it's smart and it's great. So I'd recommend going back and checking that one out. The actual name of the episode, I think, really sums it up. He said, or it was called "The Absolute Dumbest Thing I've Ever Heard." Perfect.
Yeah, and it was based on 5 headlines.
I think it's what it was. Yeah, 5 like random headlines, and none of them were even that like negative. Not really.
Oh, and they weren't even that. Yeah.
And this made Colin Cowherd deduce that he didn't have much optimism for Jordan Love's prospects. That's ridiculous.
Well, that's okay. We don't need Colin Cowherd's approval.
I agree. You don't need him inserting himself here. So that's great.
That's interesting. I have to listen to that rant, if nothing else, to get better at ranting, because I had some triggers the last couple of weeks, and I felt like, what a bad time for triggers, right? You're recovering from surgery, and it's like, what?
You know, it easy, Don.
I was like, I mean, I'm not bad, but when I'm triggered, but I could be sharper. I could be quicker. I think I'm usually just so shocked at people's ignorance. Like, that I don't know how to respond. It's like, how do you respond to this crap? Like, anyway, so I'm gonna, if nothing else, listen to this for that reason.
There you go.
Practice your rants.
Master class rants. That's right.
Sharper. I love that.
All right, Donald. My third superlative for the week is coolest announcement. So, about the middle of the week, Andy Herman announced that he is about to drop some big news. And quick background for those who don't know, Andy Herman is a very active content creator for Packers. He does a daily podcast, the Pack a Day podcast, and also assembled the group of people who make up like the Pack a Day podcast. The basically there's like a video version and an audio version. The audio version for a long time was just like the people he assembled, versus the video version is him. But he's really done more of like pushing the audio of the video version into the podcast feeds, which I appreciate because I don't always have time to watch the videos. Anyhow, massive content creator. He tweets up a storm. He is filled with really amazing takes, and it's just like a really friendly guy. You know, he was on our show, of course, about a year ago or something, and was very
Yeah.
generous with his time and his
Delightful.
takes, and it was a really good time.
Yes.
But anyhow, his announcement this week was that he's going to quit his day job to live the dream of covering the Packers. And the thing that he said that really kind of like, I don't know, that kind of like blew my mind, I guess, is he said, now I'll be able to really focus on like improving the quality of the things I'm doing. I was like, how could you improve the quality? It's already like, you know, top tier. I mean, you and Big B were talking earlier, like him and Tom Grossi, it's funny I mentioned both of them here today, are like two of the best content creators out there. And so it's like, you're going to get better. How? Like Superman's
Well, I bet.
more powerful? Like,
Well, I'm sure he has ideas because he doesn't have the distractions, right? He's gonna have more time. So who knows what to expect? That's a really good point, Maddie.
got ideas. That's true.
Like, yeah.
But you know, I will say Aaron makes a very good counterpoint here, because in the chat, Aaron mentioned that his food takes automatically removes him from any praise you're giving him. That, you know what? I take it all back, Aaron. You're totally right. So
he and Andy would probably agree.
No, Andy, like he
knows.
He knows, but he'll definitely play it up like he firmly believes his food takes. I don't know. His food takes are so bad. Like all he likes
does he really eat like that?
I think he does. I think he does. I think he just eats pizza in its various forms. Like,
how do you have any energy? I don't know.
Given how much stuff he does, how does he run on anything? Like
right.
That's kind of like Tom Grossi this month. You know, Tom Grossi has a lot of like food restrictions.
Yes.
When we were at the Mad Tree thing at the meetup, a dude was trying to bring over a pizza to feed the man. He's like, well, he's got gluten allergies. Yep. I mean, I don't think it's like gluten, it's dairy. It's like dairy allergies.
Dairy.
Maybe gluten. I don't know. I don't think so. But and he is allergic to a couple other things too. He's like, it would literally kill me. Like, I really wish I could eat it. Thank you so much, but I can't actually eat it. Like, he felt really bad.
Right.
He had to like turn down this food that this guy was like trying to buy him.
Yeah.
So given how little Tom Grossi can eat, and he's doing this thing for a month, just constantly moving and traveling, I don't know how he runs on anything, you know, like how the things he can eat. I don't know, it blows me away.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know. We'll have to ask him when he's on the show.
Yep.
Tell us about your diet. I just signed up for a meal service on a totally different point here. I just, there's so many meal services out there now, and I stopped eating right like a year ago. Like, I don't know what happened to me. I had some issues after like the last surgery and then the cat thing. And I think I got sick from that. And I was having a real hard time, and I just signed up. It's called Thistle. Okay. It's vegan. And oh my goodness, the first day I'm not normally like a hype master about food, because I think it takes a while and supplements and things like that. It could be a coincidence, but the next day after my first like really good vegan meal, which I used to make for myself, but not like this. These are like top chefs making super great vegan meals. And first of all, delicious. And second of all, my energy level, so fantastic. Worth it.
Okay.
So now I don't have to shop, and I don't have to make anything, and I don't have to plan anything, and I don't have to food prep or anything. So what am I going to do with all that time?
What are you going to do with all the time?
I'm going to make our podcast better.
There it is. Well, so, I think an alternate diet might go on here is another point Erin's making in the chat is she's saying that think Andy's a vampire. No way he can make all the content he does and eat nothing but air. Ew. Nothing but air. Yeah, I think that's what it is. So if you go on the Andy Herman vampire air diet, that's human blood.
Well, he did. He said he was getting a little, he had a word for it, a little pudgy. He had a cuter word for it, fluffy. I don't know. But he said he was eating better about a year ago. I don't know if you remember. And you could tell in his videos he lost weight. He said he was getting a little pudgy. And but I don't know that he really shared what he was eating. We have to find out what Andy's eating too. Tom and Andy, what are you eating? How do you do this?
Absolutely.
Maybe that's got to be a new question for our guests. Not who helps you, supports you to do all you do in the kitchen, but what do you eat?
What do you eat? There it is. Oof. I'll take some tips. I'm very fluffy. Whole lot of dad fluff happening down here.
I'm pretty fluffy right now too. Fluffier than ever. I gained a lot of weight between COVID and my last surgery, but hopefully I can defluff real quick here with this.
Defluffing. All right. Well, Don, you said you had one more superlative, right?
I do. Highly acclaimed QB coach, Quincy Avery. This kind of came up because Jordan Love was going to France for a training. Did you hear about that? For some training with
France?
Justin Fields and Deshaun Watson.
What?
And somebody put in the comments that, well, that's because they all have the same QB coach, like their personal coach.
Oh, okay.
And so I was like, who's that? What's this all about? Why are they going to France? So I did a little research, and I found a really cool article. And this is an opinion piece from the Philadelphia Eagles. It's called "The Man Behind the Charge," Quincy Avery, who evidently, word has it, is Jordan Love's QB coach, his personal coach.
Okay.
And so the headliner was Quincy Avery's story from homelessness to most sought after QB coach. And so it's a pretty good article. Of course, links to Tom Grossi, everybody that we've talked to, how to donate, all that stuff, and including this article will be in the show notes, okay, below when we're done.
Mm-hmm.
So from this article in 2021, I'm just going to breeze through parts of the article. Quincy Avery grew up in the same Minnesota neighborhood where George Floyd was murdered by Minneapolis police officers. So just to give you an idea, it was his worldview. How Avery, angered, outraged, and fed up after that murder, decided to pen an open letter to the white coaches of the athletes he trains to perform at a high level and pleaded them to humanize those players for the police and to aid him in their fight for justice.
Mm-hmm.
Quincy Avery has become a polarizing figure in an industry that's become paramount to quarterbacks' prospect success rates ahead of the draft. Helped in no little part by his work with Deshaun Watson, Dwayne Haskins, and the NFL 2021 NFL hopeful Justin Fields. Avery, starting as a quarterback in his youth, was quickly moved to the wide receiver position, playing at Morehouse in Atlanta. In a way, this helped Avery shape his game and take it to the next level as a wide receiver, but with a quarterback's perspective. So when Avery left college in 2008, he knew he wanted to coach quarterbacks. He eventually found a job as a low-level assistant for UCLA, where he spent 3 years sleeping on an air mattress in their locker room.
Oh, wow.
Getting paid so little. He was once invited to the Super Regional at Ohio State, where Avery drove all night with only $18 in his pocket and continuing to sleep in his car, his 2006 Mustang, which I guess is kind of infamous. When he was invited to dinner with all the other coaches, he couldn't go because he was afraid to tell anyone he couldn't afford a meal.
Wow.
I mean, it's just, this article is really good. And this is just parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't until the weekend after that weekend at Ohio State that he confided in his fellow coaches about his time at UCLA and where he had been sleeping in his car to make his dreams work, at which point they asked Avery to attend the finals at Oregon. This time he was treated with a plane ticket and a place to stay in order for him to get in front of the coach to top young quarterbacks on television. Soon after, he had enough clients that he could afford a house and he would never have to sleep in his Mustang again. Now he runs his camps out of the Quarterback Takeover. That's the name of his business, Quarterback Takeover. He's been approached by college coaches and even figures he could get an NFL job. His answer will always remain the same. Thank you for the opportunity, but I'm not interested. This is the point. Avery wants to have a larger impact on his players' lives rather than just as a coach.
Okay.
It's like the article's really great, talking about how he gets personally involved with families and all that. So with Avery's influential nature and transparent personality, it's easy to see why so many Black quarterbacks choose Quincy Avery to be their personal quarterback guru, and it is
Okay.
rumored that Jordan Love is among them. Sounds like a good choice.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. This guy, that's very impressive. That's very
Yeah.
impressive.
I mean, nobody should have to live in their car to get
Oh
what they
God,
want, but
seriously.
it's so scary, and that's why I love Flemlo wraps, because sometimes there's like this situation with Travis Rudolph that I was talking about. He'll never play for the NFL probably, and then
Mhm.
he was playing for the Canadian Football League finally, and then this happens. It's like sometimes it's just so many things stacked against you in life.
Yeah.
So many, and it's and so I think personally that we have to be careful about like just glorifying these rags to riches stories, because that's usually not how it turns out. We should really
Hmm.
learn to appreciate the rags and the struggle that people go through, and the ones that didn't make it, and not forget them.
Yeah. Well said, Don. Absolutely.
Yeah. So did you know? So you didn't know about this Avery guy?
No, not at all.
Yeah, I didn't either. I was kind of glad. I was reading the comments because somebody made a post about Jordan Love going to France. And then I was like, what? And I thought maybe it was, I don't know what it was. And then so I was looking in the comments to get some context, and there was all kinds of stuff about, oh, that's Justin Fields' coach too, and Deshaun Watson. And I'm like, who's this guy? Why are they? Yeah, anyway, so he's going to France. Our boy's going to France.
In this article you're talking about, who's the writer? I missed who the writer was, he said.
Well, it just said, okay, hold on. It says hold on. Scrolling too fast. It's from Fourth and JAWN, like John with John.
John. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's called The Man Behind the Charge, Quincy Avery. And
Okay.
but it also says it's from the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm not sure. It's actually a podcast.
All
and
right.
it's listed under opinion. It's an opinion piece for the Philadelphia Eagles. So it's kind of all over the place.
All
And
over
it's
the
from
place.
2021, but we'll have the link here, so you'll see. And it's so that it wasn't really signed. A lot of these articles anymore aren't signed. Did you hear about what happened at the Athletic this week?
No. So before I get into it, real quickly, I did find the name actually at the bottom of the article. It's
Brennan
Sakowski.
Sakowski. Yeah, I was just clicking on that.
Yeah.
Brennan.
Cool.
Yeah, I was just clicking on that.
But what happened to the Athletic? What are you talking about?
20 writers were laid off.
No.
Hmm.
I didn't hear that.
They were also sold to the New York Times, I think.
I was gonna say it might have something to do with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my kids' friends' dad is the Cincinnati the Reds beat writer, actually, and he's a good dude. Every time I talk about the organization, he has good things to say about it. But I was kind of asking him, like, so, like, just before they were sold to the New York Times, I was like, do you think it's going to change much? He's like, I'm sure it will. But
yeah.
I mean, the content is still really good, but it makes you wonder if they're going to lay off a bunch of writers like that. Like, I don't know. It's not great. It's not a good look.
It's everything. They just farm these things out to kids, and because I mean, in some ways, it's good because things are online and all that. But it's a scary world that way, professionally, whatever profession you're in. So
It's true.
Yeah.
And on that uplifting note,
I know, right? Yeah. Well, I read the top line and then I looked down and it's like found his name, but it's like that's the thing. It's hard to find their names.
Yeah.
It's just not the same. It's not the same anymore. So when I get maybe the next week or so, I'm going to kind of replay a lot of the OTA stuff and the practice stuff that's going on now, because I kind of missed all that while I was engaged in the French. I knew I could watch those things, but I'm like, I just want to like watch everything going on in the French Open and tune everything else out for once, because this is probably the only time in my life I'll be able to do that, or that I'll be willing to do that.
Yeah, totally. Stirring up all that, OTA content and getting to it later is a good idea, because we have like a month where nothing's going to happen.
Exactly.
So like,
exactly.
Good time
to listen to.
Good time to break back into those, deep dive in the player profiles that so many content creators have done. Get caught up on Last Call Lambo and watching stuff for sure. Aaron's killing it with those things. And speaking of Aaron and Justin Fields, this one is for her and Sam. Justin Fields. So there you go. He's a biter. This guy, he's a biter.
He's a biter?
So. No, that's Sam's theory. It's a whole thing. People, you got to listen to Last Call Lambo. It's an excellent show. So.
All right. He could be. He reminds me of that actress, Octavia Spencer. He kind of looks like they could be relatives.
Maybe
Who's
they are.
popping Prozac heroin?
I think Aaron's from the uplifting news. She put pops of Prozac, dealing with the rough parts of the world. Anyhow.
Okay. All right. Okay. So Maddie, let's bring her home. It was so good to have Big B here and to have some superlatives. I'm glad I made it. I knew that once I got rolling, I would be okay.
I had a feeling you would. Yeah.
Didn't pass out on you.
Cat didn't get you while we were on air. That's good too.
No. Again. I don't know why Twitter thinks I'm dead or thinks I'm a cat. And every time I try to post something, it's like it goes into like this limbo land. I don't get Twitter.
Goodness gracious. Well, anyhow, thanks to Big B for being here. This is a lot of fun talking to him when he was here. And Dawn, I just want to say, I'm so happy that you're back. This has been really great. Talking to you again. I've really missed you.
I know.
So,
our football talk, our weekly football chat.
It's been great. All right. So anyhow, folks, make sure you're following our guest, Big B, on Twitter. That is at Big Packers 4X. That's his handle. He also is part of the Underage Packers podcast, which I don't have the handle for that handy. But I mean, if you search Underage Packers podcast,
it's Underage Packers.
It's the only one out there. Yeah, Underage Packers. So, of course, you'll find links in our show description for everyone we mentioned, so please check it out. And whether you're a super fan or content creator, we'd love to have a chance to interview you. So if you're a subscriber, our DMs are open at Hey Willip on all the social platforms. We'd love to hear from you or someone you'd like to nominate to be a guest on our podcast this year. And folks, when you subscribe to our podcast, please subscribe to our podcast. You help us to keep spreading the love in our community. And the best way to help this podcast grow is by sharing it with your friends and family.
Yes, Maddie, that's right, because we love you. We're so glad to know you, to be fans of you, and have the luxury of being fans of the most storied team in the NFL. Mm-hmm. We appreciate your support, your subscriptions, and sharing our pod, and we look forward to seeing you next week on
Hey, we like your pod.
Football in general comes down to discipline and people owning their roles. And when you aren't disciplined or you go outside the scheme, bad stuff happens.